living in the end, manifesting something and living in the end. What actually is living in the end? And if you're going to do that, what does that require you to do? To me, living in the end is nothing more than finding the frequency of the outcome that I want. So whatever that outcome is, it has a frequency, and you can say it to yourself and then feel that frequency. It may be really subtle. It doesn't have to be an overpowering feeling. I can increase that feeling, so I get it and it's subtle, and I could sit there and I could amplify it and make it more and more and more, a bit like Richard Dotts might have called the magic feeling. I can do that, but I practiced that. That is something I practice, a skill I practice. I wanted to get good at that. So that really is living in the end, because you're finding the frequency of the outcome that you want. What tends to happen is people say they're trying to live in the end. So as soon as you put trying into it, as soon as you bring trying into the equation, you're not living in the end, you're trying to live in the end. And trying has its own unique frequency. And that is, I don't have. I'm trying to get this because I don't have it. So that is what's more powerful, and that isn't living in the end. Living in the end can be two things. It can be walking around all day, living as if you already have this thing, but not just pretending with your mind. It's a feeling. It's not a mind thing. It's a feeling, like, I know that I have this. I absolutely know that I have that. Now, I don't know and have never met any client that's been able to do that, and I've never been able to do that. And I've been talking about this now I've been into this for 10 years and talking about this for about 6 years or something. I can't remember, it's probably even longer than that. So, and I can't do it. I couldn't do it now if I tried. Tried. If I'm trying, then it isn't happening and I'm not getting the right vibe. But I can tap in to the frequency of it. I know that everything is frequency. Everything I feel with conviction is frequency. Not everything I think is going to manifest in real life. Of course it's not. You know that from your own experience. Some things happen, some haven't. It all depends on your level of intent behind things. And sometimes we think, well, we didn't intend that to happen. We didn't want that to happen. No, but it's like a negative intent. So just look at it that way. It's still read as intent and it's still delivered to you based on that. I've thought about not wanting things and then it's shown up. But it's been picturing myself doing those things that I don't want to do, and then I've ended up doing them. Conversations I didn't want to have, I've ended up having. Again, it's frequency, and I felt it with some kind of conviction, whether it's negative conviction or a positive conviction. But if you think in terms of frequency, the best way to practice this is to know how you're feeling about, say you want something, you've been manifesting for a while and nothing has shown up. Feel how you feel at the moment and put a label on it in your head. Don't be scared of doing that. And if it's lack, just say it's lack. I feel lack. You're just owning that. I feel lack. Okay, I feel lack. I admit it. I feel lack. I accept that I feel that in the moment. Okay, that has a feeling, and I can feel what that feels like. That is the frequency, and I'm on the frequency of lack. What if I had it right now? What if somebody came along and waved a magic wand and said, there you go, there's your manifestation, whatever is most important to you at the moment? How would that make me feel? And sort of try and find that feeling. And then find that feeling within you, even just saying the words to yourself or imagining that you had it, just for 30 seconds or so, because as soon as you try to do it for longer than that to start with, your resistance will come in and it will start changing. So just do it, and however long it lasts before the resistance starts coming in, that's when you stop. That was you living in the end for that moment. That was you finding the frequency of what it is that you want against the frequency of what it is that you don't want. So when you notice that, and you do finally go, do you know what, it is all about frequency, then you start becoming more aware of your frequency on a daily basis, on everything, with absolutely everything. You just become aware of it, and then you can monitor, and then you can adapt your frequency according to what it is that you want. So when you notice that you're in lack and you're really feeling the lack, you shift yourself in that moment to finding the feeling of having it. But it's not you trying to believe you have it. You're not trying to have faith you have it. That just doesn't come into it. It's just frequency. You're finding the frequency. And that doesn't mean that if you find the frequency and you're a bit detached, you should have it that afternoon. It doesn't work like that. You just have to keep doing it. Sometimes it does. I've done that, but in other times I haven't. So you've got to take time out of it, and you've just got to mess around with this and go, it's frequency. Call it energy, call it vibration. I prefer at the moment just to call it frequency, because we do know that everything is vibrating at a particular frequency. So whatever that frequency is that you're on, you are going to get things show up in your reality on the same or a similar frequency. If you've let go of something and that you've wanted, when you've wanted that thing initially, you have been on the frequency of it, and then you've mixed it up with other things and you've mixed it up with resistance. But at that moment that you wanted it, you just wanted it. There will have been a time when you just wanted this. That's a frequency. When you let go of it, you detach. You open up to that frequency, actually delivering what it is that you want to you. That's what all that happens with detachment. You're completely open to it then. All of those blocks have gone, so in it comes. Because at some point you've wanted it. I've wanted things. I wanted a particular car, and it was about 2 years later, I think, when I actually ended up with that very car that I wanted. So, 2 years later. So I hadn't consciously done it. If I'd consciously done it, maybe it would have been a lot sooner. I wasn't consciously trying to manifest it or anything, but I just knew as soon as it showed up in my life, it was my car. I just knew it and I felt it. But finding the feeling of the frequency is you going to the outcome that you want and not lingering in the outcome that you don't want. If you keep on rationalizing a 3D reality as you see it right now, you are living in the end. You are living in the end of what you don't want. So you're constantly living in your inside, in the reality that you can see. Why don't you just live it externally and try not to experience it too much internally? And what that means is not giving it any more focus than the fact that you have to live it at the moment. You don't have to keep thinking about it. You don't have to keep talking about it. That is you finding the frequency of it, and so you're going to get more of it. So in order to not get more of it, you need to find the frequency of the outcome that you want. Again, just think in terms of frequency over manifestation. Personally, makes it a lot easier for me. I mean, I talk about manifestation, I have to. If I want people to find my videos, I have to mention manifestation. Otherwise, I'm not going to get the right audience. So I have to do that. But I don't think in terms of manifestation in my life. I think in terms of frequency, energy, frequency. Because energy is frequency. It's all the same thing. I used to think in terms of vibration. I just don't as much anymore. But that's just a natural thing, progression, that I just think of frequency now. And I think, okay, well, I'm on this frequency, I can feel it, and I'm wanting something, and I can feel the frequency of that, and I can feel it's nothing like this. So I can't get that while I'm feeling this. And that's the key. You need to be honest with yourself. And when people say to me, I did this, but it didn't work, and I do get a lot of comments like that, I did this and it didn't work. Yeah, but if you're doing something in order to get something, then you keep going back to the old, you keep going back to that feeling that is producing what you see at the moment that you don't like, then you're just going to get more of it, whatever. There's no such thing as doing this and this working, but then I can go back to this. It doesn't work like that. You can't keep going. I think Neville called it serving two masters. You cannot serve two masters. You have to make a choice. You have to be mostly with what you do want, not mostly with what you don't want. You can't be mostly on the frequency of what you don't want and a little bit of what you do and then expect to get what you do. You're always going to get what you don't want because that is your dominant frequency. Just imagine you're emitting that all of the time, and this is your world, it's your universe, but you're emitting it to that part of you, call it the universe. And so it's reading it, and then, I'll jump in with a little bit of this. Okay, it reads it, it starts to show you that, and then you go back. So you don't know that it's starting to open up for you because you haven't given it enough chance before you've dropped back into the old frequency. Right, I'm going to leave it there. I'm hoping that made sense. It's difficult trying to, what I feel and know for me, and then translating it into words. So hopefully that's useful. If you don't know anything about me, I'm an author, manifestation coach, mindset coach, and self-concept coach.